close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name's Karl Smith from the UK Hypnosis Academy, and I hope you're well, hope you're fine. It's actually been a bit of a chaotic day. So anyone who's on my Facebook page will realise that I've been out all day with Mr. Marconi, Paul Marconi, who's not in here at the moment, and delivering the mental welfare coaching package to a regiment in Suffolk. And yes, we've just been delivering that. And I will just say that we've been there all day, and literally we only just run in the door. So hence why the live was put on late tonight, and it's just been chaotic, to be quite honest. And I actually didn't think I was going to make in time for tonight. But anyway, I'm here. So I've been working with the regiment today. I've been working with a military regiment, and I'm going to go through some observations from today. We did have somebody lined up tonight, but they fell foul of an illness. And then my secondary said that he will do it on Friday. So I thought, well, no, let's just talk about this. Let's do this, because at the present moment in time, we have got a lot of heightened tension around the world with our military and emergency service, military, I should say. And we're going to do that. So, but I'm just going to come into the emergency services part in a moment, but predominantly I'm going to stay with the military tonight, because that is, it was fascinating to go back into an environment and just see where we were with that and what they get as well. And some of it I'm going to cover that I've already covered before, but some of you may not have heard me. But the thing is that I want to discuss about the I want to discuss what mental health training per se is like at the present moment in time in that arena, and it shocked the shit out of me. And if I can give you information that I gleaned today, that you can then start to advertise or look for, then you may be able to support and help. But let me just go through that. So here we go. So I'm going to be talking about military and emergency services. I'm going to be predominantly staying with the military, but on the same token, we will cut in and interject with some emergency services stuff as well, just to talk about what assets and arseholes are out there supporting people. Max, great to see you, my friend. Stay my hair. Max, great to see you, buddy. I shall catch up with you later on. Great to see you first out of the traps tonight. James, over in Bulgaria land. Hope you're well, my Mesmerlanders. Hope you're well, my old fruit, over in Bulgaria. So first up, we've got California, followed by Bulgaria. And then we've got New Zealand. Yippee-doo! And then we come over to the Inglando. And then we're over in Liverpool. And then we're up in Aritnat territory, up there in Scotland. Carol, I hope you're well, darling. I hope you're fine. John Thompson, I hope you're well. Eric, I hope you're well. Kevin, I hope you're well in New York. Donna, I hope you're well. Cynthia over in Scottsdale, Arizona. And then we've got hello, but I don't know who you are. Jackie Brennan, good evening, sweetheart. Hope you're well, hope you're fine. Yeah, so it's been really interesting today. Don't forget, guys, as you're coming through, just say hello. Hi, Miles. Becca, hope you're well, hope you're fine. Cynthia over in Mexico. God, we've got them everywhere tonight. Don't forget to let us know where you are, people. Max down in Billericay in Essexshire. Yeah, so it's been a really interesting day, actually. I'm gonna go through the process of what happened today, and then give you some insight into where we are and where, especially for the UK Armed Forces, where we are at the present moment in time. Hi, Sheila, over in Tirana, and all of that. Oh, by the way, just a quick thing before we kick off. Those people that have been asking me about courses, we've got Leeds coming up. We've got Glasgow Masterclass and Diploma with me. And also for you people on the other side of the pond, I will be at Hypno Thoughts Live holding a 3-day masterclass with me at Hypno Thoughts Live on a pre-course. So if you want to join me in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of August in sunny Las Vegas, book your tickets, go to HT Live and book a masterclass with me. I'm going to do a video on exactly what I'm going to be covering, but it's 3 days with me. For those people that want to work with me, train with me in America, Canada, or Mexico, or wherever you are in the world, give us a shout out, and I'll be over in Las Vegas in August. Okie dokie. So let me just go through what's happened. Everybody on here probably aware I did 12 years in the army, did 12 years emergency services type stuff. If you weren't aware, that's exactly where I am. When I was in the military, and I have told this story before, but I want to give some context. When I was in the military, I saw the worst and the best of humanity. I was there for when I was on a QRF team when the Omar bomb went off, which was an unfortunate thing that happened in Northern Ireland where 29 people lost their lives. I've been there for some of the Bosnia and Kosovo staff. And anyway, rattles on, right? Just goes on. Been to sandy places and all that type of stuff. My point being is to give some context on my life, and I know I've repeated it, but it just gives some to people who haven't heard it. And when I left the military, when I was in the military, I struggled. Towards the end, I really did struggle, and now I know it was the accumulation of stress that built up and not offloading. Some of the incidents that I had seen in my life, some of the ethnic cleansing and shit like that. And I think when I was in, they had counselling and stuff like that in, and they had a psychiatry team down. They had psychiatrists in Portsmouth. That's where it was. That's what I was thinking of then. And I always remember seeing this psychiatrist. Not that it was just that they bumped us up to psychiatrists because I don't think they thought counselling was going to work. And they just gave everybody that was on this troop a psychiatrist, really, just to go down and see at Portsmouth at the naval base. And I'll never forget, I walked in, and he said, introduced himself, and then he said, right, what I want you to do is walk into that room over there, and when I say go, I want you to pick the card up, and I want you to shout out what it says on that card really, really loudly. And I'm thinking, okay, where's this going? And I was thinking, what the fucking hell's going on here? You know, what are we doing here? And so I went into this room and I said, this card. And he said, yeah. He said, you know, it's amazing. You know, it's a simple instruction. When I say now, pick the card up, and he shouts out. And he goes, go now. So I shut the door was shut, and I went in there, and all it said on this bit of paper, this is genuine. It's genuine, right? It said, fuck off. That's all it said. Fuck off on this sheet of paper. And I went, do you want, he went, I didn't ask you to say that. I asked you to shout what was on the card. And I was like, fuck off, fuck off, fuck off, fuck off, fuck off, fuck off. And he went, louder, louder, more energy, more emphasis on it. Fuck up. Anyway, after about 3 or 4 minutes, I came out of this room physically exhausted by shouting as loud as I could. And then sat down on the couch and said, how do you feel? And I went, oh, actually not too bad, to be brutally honest. I have to be brutally honest with you. I actually feel quite good about that. It was quite a cathartic release. And he went, yeah, that's all you need to do. That's what you need to do, sunshine. When you get a bit stressed, just find an empty room and shout, fuck off. I'm not joking. I am not joking with this. I'm not joking. And I was like, well, I've only been in here not 20 minutes. I've not even been in his bloody office 20 minutes. And he's like, all right, sign you off. If you need anything else, just give us a shout. But there's your prescription as well. What prescription? You shout, fuck off in a room. And that was it. And I think for me, I think now where I am as well, is that I now know that far more could have been done. However, I will say that it did work, but it wasn't, it's just as easy as just doing that. And mental health and gaining good, powerful mental health, good, positive mental health isn't that easy. But on the same token, it did open my eyes. But I have to say that the mental health training and mental health the way that people were treated was really, really bad. And I mean, brutally honest, you know, on some occasions, we were just given a crate of lager and just told to knock shit out of each other. And the British Army didn't get it right, because they used to have what's called decompression centers in Cyprus. So when people came back from Optelic or Optaheric, which are Iraq or Afghanistan, they would go to Cyprus for a couple of weeks and then knock living crap out of each other, or just go to see the padre every day, or just chill out, read books or whatever. But they still didn't really get down to the nuts and bolts of really what was going on, and that's still till recent. And what did get me today is I don't think that the British Army itself is still any further forward, even though they've got bolts, whistles, and, oh yes, we do this, which are great management tools, tick box things. They're still no further forward. They're still no further forward in where they are. And it was really a big shock to me today. And I know that I do this as a profession and I know what I do, but and I'm probably got a lot more sight on what they're doing. And I don't disrespect, there's people out there who do really give a shit, and there's people out there that do care. But the archaic wheels and the bureaucratic wheels are still in motion. They're still in motion. They're still in motion. They're still there, you know, and they still heavily rely on educating people with just counseling and CBT. And like I said, and I'm going to make today's presentation available to everyone. I'm going to make it available to everyone so you can all watch it. I'll put it up tomorrow. I was going to put it up just for the MWC team, but I think that there's a lot there for everybody, the mental welfare coaching team that are watching this at the moment. And I just think that there's a lot in there that you could all learn from, and probably help somebody with. That's my train of thought on that. So yeah, so I was there today, and it was really apparent that in the UK they rely on heavily a thing called DCMH, which is a mental like a social working type thing, if you like, where it looks after people. And it was really apparent that they heavily rely still on counseling and CBT. And in some cases, and Paul, I know Paul's out tonight, but I'm going to mention Paul anyway. But Paul, who still works in the military, and he does a grand job of getting people fast tracked through, that it still does. It is very archaic. And my point tonight is about, if you are in a veterans association, if you are near a regiment, or if you're near a military establishment, I think that you should put yourself up there to go in there and talk about mental health. Now, this is interesting because I went in today working with the mental welfare coach, the other business that I've got, the mental welfare coach that most of you are aware of, that I keep bleating on about. So we went in there with a mental welfare coach. It was really intriguing about the word hypnosis straight away. As soon as I mentioned the word hypnosis, I hadn't seen it as abrupt as what I'd seen it today. Oh, no, I wouldn't do that stuff. Even though I was educating and talking about it and doing stuff. And what I would strongly suggest is if you are, especially you guys and girls in the UK, is I wouldn't use the word hypnosis. I would strongly, if you are going to approach any military or emergency services type people, is use the word coach. And that's something that the mental welfare coaching team that are watching at the present moment in time, that's where we're going to be drilling it for them, because that's why we've changed the name of what we're doing, really, because getting it into an environment with hypnosis, there was this real fear that I was going to do some hypnosis on. I know there was not everybody, but it was really keen, and it was really interesting to see today. But however, my point being is that I thought that the mental health in the British military would be far more advanced than what it is, and it's quite apparent it's not. And there are, and like anybody on Civvy Street, but military, Military and emergency services bring their own pressures to what a normal civilian or member of the public would get. There are differences, I can tell you that now. I mean, that doesn't to say that they've always got it bad, but there is a different way and a different mentality. And my point today is that I would, and I've said this before, I want you to reach out, because at the moment in time, there are people out there that are suffering like nobody's business on military camps or military bases near you, that just need educating on what you're doing. And I think it's really, really vitally important that we get that across, because they do really hang on to CBT, and they do hang on to counselling. And when I did the presentation today, and everyone will see it tomorrow, I was very clear cut that counselling is not my bag, but it doesn't mean that it's not everyone's bag. CBT is not my bag. However, that doesn't mean that it won't work for somebody. That's the key thing for it. So when I was talking about neuro-linguistic programming, which a lot of them hadn't even heard of, some of them didn't even know what NLP was. This is the type of thing that I'm trying to draw to your attention now. Some of you sit there and forget that members of the public don't understand what you do. This is why I keep talking about YouTube channels. Get people to understand who you are and what you do. I was in a room today, and there was probably 60, 70 on Zoom watching me. There was probably 50 in the room, and there was more people just scattered around doing stuff. But on the same token, when I mentioned NLP, it was really, really interesting to see that only 1 or 2 people understood. So when you see the video, when I launch it tomorrow, I will talk about modeling excellence and stuff. I didn't have enough time to do that. My job today was to merely give them ideas and techniques that they can walk away with and do, and we succeeded in that. But the key thing about this is, and I keep telling you guys to do this, and I want you to start thinking like this, especially people like Max and the other people that have served in the military and emergency services, is to recognize that when you are working with military and emergency services personnel, sometimes I get a lot more of it coming through, because military and emergency services folk, we talk in acronyms, we talk our own bullshit, and we understand it, right? It's like somebody today, they were going, so when you Charlie 1, I did a Charlie 1, and then it did this and it did that. I wouldn't have thought that many people on here know what a Charlie 1 is. And that's a shout. Basically, a Charlie 1 is a call out to everybody. A big shout out to everyone. But that's a Charlie 1. Why don't you just say a big shout out? And there's lots of other things as well that we do, but it doesn't mean you can't if you've never served or you haven't worked in emergency services. I just think that my top tip is that if you've never served in a military and emergency service and you do work with somebody that's doing it, don't question acronyms, because you'll be there all day. You'll be there all day. And the key thing is that I think that's where I was today, is that lack of education within our armed forces is absolutely, it's so overwhelmingly far behind. It was mad, because when you're in those type of environments, and this is what I was saying at the beginning, when you do go into the military or the emergency services, you are in a cocoon bubble. You are in a cocoon bubble where you've got your own mates, you do everything inside camp gates, and you do everything that everyone needs you to do, and your dinner's put on the plate for you at the end of the night. All you got to do is breathe, technically. And it's really interesting that people out there, people in the military, didn't really look at other processes that are out there. So I spent some time today talking about different things like Reiki, spiritualism. There was a guy there today from It's Okay Not to Be Okay. There's I can't remember what the title is now. Where are we? Let me just find it. Let me just find this hashtag. It's called "It's Okay Not to Be Okay." I've said it a couple of times, but I actually met the bloke who's behind it today, weirdly enough. I'm not even going to bother trying to do that hashtag. But there's the "It's Okay Not to Be Okay" ex-Special Forces lad that's been doing stuff there. But yeah, you know, it's okay not to be okay. It's something that he came out with and was discussing today. And who else was there? And the other thing as well was the financial side of things that was being discussed today. But my point being is that if you're not targeting military or emergency services personnel at the moment, I strongly suggest that you do. That you maybe do a blog or maybe do a video talking about you may not understand what it's like being in the military, but you can empathize if you like. You know that you're prepared to sit there and listen to military and emergency services personnel, because it is, once you're in the system, people get stuck in the system and then they forget and they get blinkered that there are other things out there. And it's the same as the counselling and the CBT. You know, at the end of the day, they may be able to fast track you, but because of bureaucracy, the biggest problem you've got is that they won't look outside of, even though that hypnosis has got, you know, it's got all the data, the science behind it, analytics, it's got papers, blah, 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 as Becky would tell me. But on the same token, they're not interested in it. And they're not interested in it for some reasons. And I would, and one of the reasons is that in some professions like me, I was secret vetted. So that means that I had to go for an enormous amount to go get my secret vetting for a certain job that I did. And in what's the Army Act, the old Army Act, and there's people there like General Haig. It's like they're still doing that. But even still in that, the hypnosis is not allowed to be used because of archaic rulings that they think that they're going to extract information out and give it to the Jerrys. So there we go on there. So it's something to consider, you know, maybe. And when I'm working with military and emergency services personnel, I often will accept cash and I won't write notes. I've said that before on this channel. But one thing that most people are worried about is it getting back. Information getting back. And the only time, and this was being discussed today, the only time that I would ever with any military emergency services personnel, trust is huge, trust is massive in that field, but the only time that I would ever make a phone call is if I thought that they would hurt themselves or others. And that's the only reason why. And that was brought up in discussion today quite eloquently by a guy called Tim on Sapper Support, I believe it was. But yeah, but the key thing is that if you're not targeting, I would strongly recommend that you start sticking your beak up and start going to, especially on military and emergency services bases, they have communal areas. And look, I'm not going to be sexist here, but let's put it this way. It's normally mummy's coffee mornings. So while squaddies, husbands in this case, are at work, and in some cases, partners of, they will go to, there's coffee mornings there. And I really do think that if you tackled it that way, rather than going attacking the regiment and going asking the regiment, which you'll get bluffed off at, is if you go to a military establishment and find out where the coffee mornings are held, I'll pound to a pinch of salt. You put a banner up in there, ask to put a banner up, or ask to do a free morning with the wives or partners thereof, I think you'll get a lot of business. And I was looking at that today because myself and Paul went to one of these coffee areas and they're off camp. They're normally off camp, these things. But maybe that's an idea. Maybe holding something near a community centre, near a military establishment, and doing a mental health night. And I'm just saying that. I'm saying it out loud because of what I witnessed today. And I just thought that I would pass that information on to you to see what you do with that information, because it's really important that you know that it's fucking archaic. It really is. I have to say that. Cheers, Kevin. Thanks for your service. Yeah, fuck it therapy. It's the same across the public sector and the health service. Provision for public is shocking too. Yeah. So that's why we have been delivering to the National Health Service, the mental welfare coaching package. We've been delivering to a couple of trusts in this area, and we've been asked to keep it under radar because the NHS recognise that their own training shit. That's terrible, isn't it? And some people won't even go to it. They won't use the stuff within the NHS and go privately and call people like me in because they know it's so shockingly bad. So yeah, and I know from the civil service as well. It's just a tragic set of events there as well. So there's an enormous amount of work out there, folks. I mean, I think what today is. I think I'm still in shock by some of the things that I heard and saw today. But I think the thing is about waking you up and making you more aware that there is an enormous amount of work that you can do, irrespective, not like myself or Max or anyone else who's served. You don't have to have served, but it does help. But on the same token, if you change and adjust the way that you talk about things, let me just pull that off. Change and adjust it and say, when I run a session with some military and emergency services personnel, I don't actually make a lot of notes. Now, this is where some of you might go, oh, but my governing body will say X, Y, and Z. Well, just say, I'm just going to write X, Y, and Z. Don't write their names on things. Like, it just seems to be that some people that have got secret vetting, or they're in a situation, especially from my firearms background, they don't want to impart that information. They can't impart some information. That's why when I was working with the PFOA, the Police Firearms Officers Association, when we first started, I was called in because we couldn't allow normal therapists like your good selves to go in, because we couldn't allow people to know what their jobs were, what firearms jobs they had been involved in, or serious incidents they've been involved in, to protect their anonymity and protect their family from potential terrorism incidents. Some of you might think that's a little bit overdone. That's the way the cookie crumbles. All it takes is a conversation out with and going, oh, I worked with a firearms officer the other day who is involved in that big firearms job. Oh, really? Yeah. And it doesn't take long for newspapers and stuff like that to figure it out. Do you know why I know that? Because I know in England, a firearms incident that happened in 2000, let me get the date right, that happened in England, so I don't narrow it down too far, where a doctor spoke to his wife about a firearms officer that had been in about a very serious firearms incident. It was all over the front news of the UK, and she then went to the Women's Institute and said, you know what, he was talking to that from that firearms job the other day. And it didn't take long for the newspapers to surround his kids' school. So that's where I'm sitting with this. This is from my knowledge of these type of things, where people don't want to know that their name. Trust is huge. Whenever you're working with anyone in the military and emergency services, trust is huge. And if that means you put your little notepad down and you don't make a note of their name, and you don't sit there writing notes, and you throw it on the floor, so you're making mental notes, and then if you want to, scribble some little notes later, but don't stick the name on it because they won't want it. And it's just the environment. It's the way that we've been trained, and I think that what I want you to do is I want you to acknowledge that, and I think that'll help you no end. I think in some ways, when I'm working with clients and I'm not taking notes, I think it really does help that I haven't got a notepad in front of me, because I'm actually listening to what they're saying and I'm actually taking in what I'm doing. So I don't do it even if I'm working with military and emergency services personnel. I don't even do it with members of the bloody public. I just sit there, listen to what they've got to say and crack on with the job I've got to do. I don't take any notes. I don't fanny around with all that stuff because I'm too intent on listening to the person when I'm not writing shit down. Anyway, there's for you to think about. Different strokes for different folks. Yeah, like I said a minute ago about how certain things don't work. We'll need an acronym guide. Yeah, Jesus fucking Christ, I'll be there all day. FUBAR. Fucked up beyond all recognition, if you don't know what FUBAR means. Most people don't link hypnosis and hypnotherapy to mental health. People I came across think hypnotherapy is a supernatural spiritual phenomenon. Now, Miles, here's a top tip. Why do they think that? Here's why they think it: because not enough hypnotists, hypnotherapists are out there educating people about what hypnosis really is, and not some 18th century spooky, creepy guy in a top hat walking around zapping people with laser rays out of their fingertips. That's why. That's the problem, is that people aren't getting it. And I really, I really do think that that's something that you've got to be responsible on, all of you, everyone who's listening to me now, on educating people around you. I go on about this shit all day long, about educating people with YouTube. This is where people come to find information. And I think it's really important that you educate people, do sessions, do live sessions, get a bucket of Buster balls and do live sessions. Show people what a hypnosis session is like. Not only are you educating, but you're actually putting yourself out on the market and saying, this is the way I work, this is the way I do stuff, and that's it. Same as this. There's no two ways about it. If you look at the title of this, mental health, working with military and emergency services personnel, people will be listening to this and going, who are serving or who have served, and go, yeah, I fucking like that. I'm giving you top tips. That's what I'm telling you now. Because they don't want to talk about it. I'm telling you now. You know, when I've worked with people that have worked in firefighters that have been on very serious road traffic collisions where there's been deaths, police officers that have been deaths, they don't want to regale through that shit. Who the fuck wants to go through that? Oh, yeah, and the body was upside down and it was bleeding from the neck. They were choking and they were... Why would you do that to somebody? And that's why I work the way I am. And I know it irritates people. I know people don't like it, but I do it for a reason. The reason I do it is not for my ego. It's because I know for a fact that some people that have been involved in serious trauma in their life do not want to fucking regurgitate it. So the reason I do YouTube videos is so it educates people that you don't have to regurgitate that bullshit. All right. So Miles, that's an idea for you. All right. Is educate people. EMDR, where was that? I like to see a little more EMDR, and the next step, brain spotting happening for vets. Okay, EMDR. If you go back on my YouTube channel, there is a video by a doctor. We did it a few months ago on EMDR, and it goes through it. And if, Kevin, you want the course details are on there, and Dominic Byrne, his name is Dominic Byrne, will certify you for the grand sum of £99, because what he does is he takes all the bullshit, all the waffle out, and he teaches you what you need to know. Oh no, I don't want to say it. I seem to think that EMDR is overexcitable bilateral stimulation. Anyway, there we go. But if you want to do an EMDR and get certified by a doctor, or PhD, I should say, go onto my YouTube channel, type UK Hypnosis Academy into the search engine and EMDR, and you'll see the interview with myself and Dominic Byrne. And you'll also see the link to his website where you can go purchase his online training. Government providers here have no issue with hypnosis as long as psychs do it. They won't support hypnotherapists because it's not regulated profession. Yeah, and it's the same all the way around. But just because people are psychiatrists don't mean that they're proficient in hypnosis. So somebody, I get what you're saying, Colette. I really do, and I'm not disputing. I'm just saying out loud what's coming out of my fucking head. Is that just because somebody's a psychiatrist doesn't mean that they're good at what they're at hypnosis. It just means they're good in one area, but it doesn't mean they're great at that. The reason I know that is because I teach many psychiatrists and doctors and consultant surgeons. So I must be doing something right. But yes, you're absolutely right. The biggest problem you do have is the bureaucracy. So there we go there. Carl, from Max. Max used to be in the military, by the way, for anyone who didn't know. Carl, it's nigh on impossible to get on many military bases as a civvy without invitation in the US. Do you have any advice for that? Well, funny enough, the one that I was at today was an ex-military, ex-US Air Force base, an RAF base. And the key thing about that is maybe putting a call into what we have over here is what's called a welfare officer. You will have a welfare team that deal with that on site. So maybe just say, hello, I'm a local mental therapist. I'm a local mental therapist. There's loads of them around. I'm a local mental health therapist, and I'd like to come in and do a free presentation on mental health. Maybe to on one of the coffee mornings, or maybe to that way, and approach it that way. If you start going, oh, I'm going to charge you this X, Y, and Z. The way that I always look at this, Max, is that there's always one way to skin a, oops, my fault. Stand by your beds. The way that I look at this is that there's always there's more than one way to skin a cat. And the way that I look at this is that if you look at the welfare team, just say, I'm not after anything. I just want to come in and I want to do a presentation. I'd like to do a presentation that will encompass why people do what they do, some fears and phobias. I won't do any therapeutic. I'd just like to be able to do what I'm doing, and see if you can get the nod that way, or work in and around the community centres and put on in the military bases, not in the bases, but sometimes the housing or the quarters are off-site, and maybe run a community centre there, which has got nothing to do with the army or the Air Force or the Navy, a gig in a community centre, and just run it there, you know, just run it in the patch, but off base. So you haven't got to go through the rigmarole of, you know, giving them your ID and all that type of stuff and getting vetted and all that. There's possibly a building off-site that you could do that and advertise it on Meetup, on FaceAche, all of those things there. We could do it. But this comes back to it again, is about showing people who you are and what you're doing, and having what's called a show reel. And my YouTube channel is my show reel. I have to tell you that. My show reel is this YouTube channel. And when somebody says, well, what type of stuff is it? Maybe have that presentation that I'm going to give you tomorrow, that I'm going to put on this YouTube channel tomorrow, and maybe have that as a, well, this is what I do. This is how I do it. Because they might go, yeah, well, we've got MHFA. And apart from deep down, you're going, well, MHFA is about as much use as tits on a fish. The key thing is, you know, let me just give you your rationale. The reason I don't agree with the MHFA package is because everything in that package is everything that I knew when I was 10 years old. All right. It's as simple as that. I'm really sorry if you like that package, but I knew to call my doctor if I didn't feel well at 10, probably younger. Anyway, there's the sarcasm coming out. Anyway, but the key thing is that there is nothing stopping you, everybody, there is nothing stopping you, if there is a military or emergency services base, putting on, you know, finding out somebody within that area, and then just saying, would you advertise that we're going to do a mental health night? Well, you know, free of charge. Now, the thing is that a lot of you might go, I'm not doing it for free of charge, you cheeky bastard. Not doing that for free of charge. You're not doing it for free. You may have to pay the room. You may have to pay, let's say you pay $30. You may pay £40 for the night to hire the room. You're not buying people. You're not paying for people to come in. But if people watch you and you deliver that to them, it won't take long, like wildfire, if you do a cracking job on a presentation. And not just hypnosis, a little bit of NLP, some tippity-tappity stuff, whatever you like. But on the same token, and if you do this, if you do say, right, I'm going to do another one next month, it's all about that, just coming in and just getting the numbers up until eventually you then go, well, we'll do this once a week. Because that's all I ever did with gymnasiums. I just built that up. You know, I saw what was going on. I did one night in a place that was completely alien to me. And then I thought, wait a minute, there's a little bit of movement on this. So then I went, oh, well, we'll do another one next month. Then that next month I went, well, there's more people actually we can do probably in 2 weeks. And that's what we did. We dropped it down to 2 weeks. So you could do that where you could have, you know, like these mental health cafes. You could, this is the way that I want you guys to start thinking. There's nothing wrong with you thinking about having a mental health cafe. You know, if I don't, this is not meant to sound sexist. I'm thinking on my feet here. It's like the mummy mornings that they have where mums and partners of, let's just clarify that, go and meet up while their partners are at work. That happens. Yeah, these things happen. But why not have a mental health cafe? You know, why not think about it that way? A mental health cafe where you just stick a tea urn on. You know what I mean? Buy a tea urn. I've got one here, by the way. I do that type of stuff. I've got a massive tea urn that holds God knows how much water. Take some tea bags with me, sit there, chat away for 90 minutes, and then toddle away. I might work for 90 minutes, but that in itself is a powerful tool, because then it starts getting around, then you start getting business, then the knock-on effects are there, you know. So there we go. So does that help? Am I making sense in what I'm saying at the moment, by the way? Are people gathering it? I hope I'm not losing people on that. How much of it is down to NICE guidelines here in the UK? There is practically nothing they approve of treating with hypnotherapy. That's because it's archaic, useless and shit, and I don't really bother with it, to be brutally honest. I do what I do. I fix the people who want me to fix them, and I'm not worried about what the NICE have got to say about themselves, to be brutally honest. You know, at the end of the day, they're looking for data, this, that and the other, but they're being educated by idiots who don't know. You know, there's lots of people like this came up last night. Jesus Christ, I've got another soapbox, didn't I? The key thing is that the science that's out there in and around, and especially now in and around hypnosis, I think is completely and utterly wrong. And I think that the way that people approach it is completely wrong. And we were talking about this. Becca's a PhD, a doctor, a blah blah blah. And we were talking about this the other day about if you don't want hypnotherapy in, you're not going to have hypnotherapy. It doesn't matter how much data you've given. And if you've got an answer, if your point of view is you want it to be you want it to do X, Y, Z at the end. If you force it hard enough, it'll happen. And I don't think the NICE will ever come in. And to be brutally honest, I'll be brutally honest, I don't want the medical profession or NICE anywhere near hypnotherapy. The reason being is because I firmly believe that they would destroy it and turn it into an inhumane way of dealing with people. I don't think the same as counseling. Some of the things that, and the way that I see counselors dealing with people in CBT, which is, NICE accredited and all that type of stuff, and gone through there. You don't treat people like humans. They're a tick box, and I never want hypnosis like that. I never want it, and I never want to be part of it. That's where I am with that. Max tried base public relations. Because sorry, James used to be military as well. Yeah. Hypnobus. Hi folks. Hi mate. Hello David, good morning. Miles, there's a lot of churches that believe that hypnosis, reflexology, Reiki are evil. I've actually got kicked out of meetings. Now that's very interesting, Jackie. Do you know why? When I used to have a shop and I used to sell crystals and salt lamps and God knows what other shit was in that shop as well, and bits and bobs and dream catchers. Most of this office is full of that shit, funny enough. We got a letter the first week asking us to shut down because we were inviting Satan in. I was like that. Jesus Christ. And it went on and it went on and on and on and on and on. And I just ignored them. And I just invited them in. I started inviting them in eventually and just saying, look, at the end of the day, I don't believe in that. I think I've made it quite clear. I don't believe in what they believe. And so just go toddle off. And I never heard anything back after that. There we go. Yeah, but you will find that. You will get resistance. You will get resistance. Don't forget there are dinosaurs. Dinosaurs weren't real, by the way. Dinosaurs were sent here to test our faith. I'm not going to go down that road because I know there's some very keen people that have got faith. So I don't mean to be rude on that. I have done Dominic's course. That's Dominic Burns' course, the one mentioned a minute ago, who's doing the EMDR course. It's well worth the money. It's interesting. After completing the course, you have a one-to-one with Dominic. Yes, you do. James, 8 years active army, 20 years National Guard. Thank you for your service, sir. There you go. Makes sense. Yeah. And I think that, some of you, I think what I wanted to get across tonight really is that there is an enormous amount of work out there. And you've just got to go in there and educate people. You've got to remember, right, that when we're in this theater, right, that we understand NLP, we understand Reiki, we understand spiritualism, we understand crystals and salt lamps, and we have a brief on it, whether you believe in it or not. We have a brief on it, right? We know where we are with it. Okay. But when like, especially today, when I was working the military emergency, the military guys today, they were like, what? Are you serious? But they do that as well? Yeah. And it is, and I think that if you was to pull your finger out of your rectum and you was to go find out if there is a premise where you can rent outside of a military establishment, maybe hook up with some of the hook up and find out where the coffee mornings are being held. This is going to be the wrong word, but infiltrate it and go in there and just say, you know, you're thinking about holding a mental health cafe morning and stuff like that, and doing it that way, then I think you're going to be onto something. And I think that that's something you need to look at. And I wouldn't be scared about going up to a military base or anything like that, because at the end of the day, you know, you're just merely asking a question. You know, you go up to the guard room. And I think, you know, max, and not unless you go up to a top, you know, area 51, but most of them, you could just say, would it be possible to, you know, to give this letter to the welfare officer or the occupational health team, and just say that we're going to be doing a mental health cafe type thing. I'm saying mental health cafe. It was something that came to the top of my head just then. I'm going to be running this, and would you like to send anyone along and just see what we're up to? And we're here to help. It's a free service for now. So the thing is that that's a way of doing it, you know, just something to think about. But the education, I'm telling you now, I was really shocked. And I know Paul's out tonight, but I was really shocked tonight by the level of where it is, the mental health training. And I have to say as well, is that let's come away from the army for a moment, is that looking at policing in the UK as well, they're they're miles behind, absolutely miles behind. The way that is, they're still stuck on the MHFA thing. I think the sun shines out of that to us. Well, if it's that good, why are people still going off sick in droves? And that's what, you know, that's why we're going out and educating people at the moment, is that there is a way of responsibility of doing things. Anyway, anyone got any questions? I'm sitting here rambling on. I didn't want to ramble on. I just wanted to talk about stuff. But yeah, I made Kevin laugh. I don't know what I did. Was that probably the dinosaur comment? Anyway, but but yeah, you know, I still think that there are ways and means, and you don't have to have served. I still think that there are ways that you could run a mental health cafe, not even with emergency services and military and emergency services, setting up a mental health cafe at night time in a local community center, and just having a free night where people can sit there and just talk and network and communicate with other people. You know, some people are just lost, and that's why, you know, maybe just having a coffee, you know, there's nothing stopping you setting up your new mental health cafe, you know, tribe, you know, and getting people to do it in your local area. And that's what I was feeling tonight, is that, you know, that when I did go to this, what they call the hive, or the where they do the coffee mornings, and that is it screams out for it. Absolutely screams out for it. And there is a business opportunity for you there to develop your own business as well, you know. Kevin, okay, how does your mental health coaching differ from your hypnosis training? Massively. We don't really, even though Max, Jackie, the others over in Germany, the ones in Spain, Australia, all that, they are taught, and Max knows, and Jackie and all that lot, they're all taught hypnosis, but the hypnosis is taught more of as an educational thing. So what we're doing is, and like you'll see tomorrow, is that my job is to go in tomorrow, the presentation that you'll see tomorrow that I'll put up on YouTube, was a very short, sharp, get in there and get a message out there, you know, with certain things. So it's heavily based on NLP, nutrition, and techniques. So what we're doing is we're going in and doing simple psychology, the why we do what we do, the fight, flight, freeze mechanism. We all go through this process, and you'll see that tomorrow when I load this video up, where I throw the expander ball at somebody and you watch him flinch, and I go through the process about why we do the fight, flight, freeze. And then I talk about Peppa Pig, and then I talk about linguistics, then I talk about nutrition, pre and probiotics, gut flora, about how I believe that we've got three brains, head, heart, and gut. And then I work through that. Then I give them techniques to go away with. And I think that that's the bit that people are really, really liking about the mental welfare coach at the moment, because hypnosis is what I'm very well known for, but the mental welfare coach is flying along because it's a package that gives people a little bit of everything. Everyone walks away. There was not one person today that walked away and went, I didn't get anything from it. Everybody that was in the auditorium patted me on the shoulder and said, I didn't know that. I didn't realize this. I didn't. Oh, and this tapping thing. All I was doing was teaching them the karate chop. But after I'd done the Peppa Pig thing, so it's a realization. It's just about education, really, about mental health, holistically, rather than just talking about hypnosis. The reason that we teach hypnosis on the mental welfare coaching thing is that if after a presentation you get clients from it, you have another tool to work with if you do. Like today, I did the presentation. I've already had 3 phone calls asking me if people can book in for sessions with me. That was from the soldiers today. You know, once I think you might be watching now, so I'm gonna be careful. There's one guy might be watching us right now. His wife bipolar, so we're going to talk about that tomorrow and see where we go with that. Another one was for a fear of flying, and what was the other one? Oh no, the other one was a Finnish one. And myself and Paul were driving back tonight, and one of the soldiers who'd been through lots of CBT, lots of counselling, I did a 20-minute hypnosis session with him and got rid of a fear of driving. So there we go. So it's a whole package, mate. It's completely different. If you go to mental welfare coach, if you go to let me just put this up. I don't mean to bring this up, but if you go to mental welfare coach, .com or .org or .co.uk, then the whole package is there, really. If you click on become a trainer, it will show you what the training packages are. And if you click on buy now, it'll take you to the online training academy where you can see the full package in itself. Oh, there we go. If I just put that on there you go at the bottom. So yeah, so there's that. By the way, this wasn't about selling mental welfare coach tonight. I've just brought it up because I want to explain why we went in today. If I'd have said I was a hypnotist hypnotherapist trying to get into a military base, not a fucking chance. Not a chance. It would have been browbeated down, that one. Whereas when we said mental welfare coach and spoke about hypnosis, that was completely different. But I also spoke about Reiki. You'll see it. You'll see the video tomorrow. And like, it's not the complete package what I did there. That's just what I felt I could do in that short space of time to maximize my time, if that makes sense. So there we go. There we go. There, mental health cafe for mums. Yeah, there's nothing stopping you. There's nothing stopping you, you know, having that. But I get where you're going with this, Miles, but on the same token, what I would say is be inclusive. And the reason I'm saying be inclusive is because there are dads out there. So that'd be a mental health cafe for parents. Does that make sense? Instead of mums. I'll tell you for why. Because there are some dads that do look after their kids while mum's at work. So you could push somebody's snout out with that. And I do know, and I'm going to be cautious here because I do know locally of somebody who's been kicking off because there is a wives choir around here, but they've then said, well, why is there not a male choir? And anyway, that's the way the world is. So maybe looking at it as a mental health cafe for parents or mental health hub or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Maybe that. See, I'm giving you multi-million-pound ideas here, aren't I, really? The subconscious like operating system, it can be reprogrammed. Yes, it can. But on that note, yeah, just on the mums bit, I would just put mental health hub, or I'd put mental health for parents, something like that. You know, something you could do like that. Just to be so you don't get your little nose kicked out of touch, you know, being inclusive in today's world. Which we all are, just a case of sometimes we just have to be cautious. Does that make sense? So, guys and girls, have you enjoyed that? Is it something you can think about? Have I given you a business opportunity? That's what I'm thinking about. Have you thought about, have you been sitting there going, I could probably do that. I could probably set up a mental health hub. I could probably set up a mental health cafe type thing, you know. But that's what we do with the mental welfare coaching team. That's what they'll be doing as well. So, you know, if mental welfare coaching is, if you want to do that and learn what we're doing and jump on the bandwagon, then look at what's the thing below. All right. So I worked overtime last night and I've worked all bloody day today. And I have to say, I'm bloody exhausted. So I'm going to knock it on the head in a minute. Anyone got any questions before I knock it on the head? Anyone got any questions before I knock this on the head tonight? Have I given you enough to think about? Have I given you something you might go play with and go look at? Max, you just sent me a message. And I will get the video up tomorrow of today's thing. I would have it up tonight, but I can't be fucking bothered, to be quite honest. I'm going to go home. Good. I want you to think outside of your hypnosis boxes, right? I really do. And if if you go to a military establishment, have a set of balls and just go to a military establishment, ask to speak to the welfare team, the occupational team, the occupational health team. Just say, look, I'm going to be running a mental health cafe here near the base. And I'd like it's a free of charge, and I'd like you to maybe support this. I'd like to do something for free. Now, the key thing is that it's not just for free, because your confidence will go through the fucking roof. I'm telling you that now. Presenting and doing this type of thing will help you. Yes, you may lose a couple of bucks at the very beginning, but then what you do then is you start getting people to pay for their, even if you get people to pay for their brews, put 50 pence in the pot. Do you know what I mean? Put $1 in the pot, whatever. It still recoups a bit of that money back if you've had to spend $20-$30 on a room that night. Teas and coffees don't cost much, do it, and stuff like that. But that there, little acorns, you know what I mean, folks? Little acorns. And I hope I've planted one tonight. I want you to go out there and bugger off and go do it. Go do what you do. Be congruent with you. Go enjoy it. Think about it. And then go launch it. That's what I want you to do. Oh my God. Here comes the Barker boy. Oh, turns up bloody late, doesn't he? Yeah, so funny enough, I'm not going to knock it on the head now, but on the same token, what I will say is that one that I was doing tonight, let me just find the post. Steve, it's on my Facebook page, but that one about it's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to be okay. That presentation there, this is run by a load of SF people, special forces type. He's ex-special forces, that guy there. And it's okay not to be okay. If you type that in, I'm not even going to bother trying to do the hashtag. Jesus Christ. It's okay not to be okay. If you can see that. They go up Penny Fan. They do the Special Forces test week, but they do it at slow pace so people can sit down, talk and mingle and just do that. So there you go. So little things like that. There's always things you can do. All right. What's Tasha got to say? If anyone is near Preston or Ripon, I have friends in both bases. Put you in touch. Thanking you. Preston or Ripon. It'd be PWR, I think. But anyway. There we go. Right, guys, don't forget, I have got a diploma, hypnotherapy diploma coming up on the 7th of March up in Leeds. Don't forget that we have got the diploma coming up in Glasgow. Don't forget, we've got Hypnotic Masterminds coming up this year as well, where it's going to be firewalking, arrow breaking, and all those type of things there. And also as well, I'm going to be running some kinetic shift courses in and around the UK. And don't forget, I'm going to be in Las Vegas as well. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of August in Las Vegas, masterclass with me. Completely. Let's rip the doors off. Boom. Guys, I'm going to knock it on the head. I've had a very long day. I'm going to see you 7:30 tomorrow. Precise military timing, not that Navy timing. And we're going to do that. All right. So I'll see you 7:30 tomorrow and we'll go from there. Don't forget, guys, take what I've given you. Go out there, make it yours. Be you and just do what you've got to do. Yeah. Be congruent with yourself. Enjoy what you do and make loads of changes. Get out there and go practice, 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 practice. And when you finish practicing, You're damn right. Go practice some more. Much love to you and your families. Be safe out there in that car crash of a world. And I'll see you 7:30 tomorrow. Be safe, folks. Bye-bye. Go away and go bloody implement it. Go do it.